Hello everyone. Rob here with California Hike and RV. I'm here to tell you about a special place called Westport Beach RV Park and Campground. It is about 30 minutes north, 17 miles north of Fort Bragg, California. And it's a special place, and here's what you need to know before you go, so stay tuned. Before you arrive at the park, you should be aware of Branscombe Road between Highway 101 and Highway 1, especially if you're driving a lengthy motorhome, travel trailer, or fifth wheel. If you are traveling the 101 and you need to cross over to the 1, most likely it's going to be Branscombe Road since it intersects with Highway 1 just 3 miles north of Westport Beach. Branscombe Road is very narrow in some sections, and there are some tight curves, as you can see from the one we're approaching here in the video. As a point of reference, our motorhome is 37 feet in length, and that will give you a baseline of how we were able to traverse this road on the way to Westport Beach. If you are arriving in the winter, I suggest that you check the road conditions beforehand in case of weather issues due to elevation in some parts of Branscombe Road. When we drove through in late December of 2020, the trees were well groomed, but there are areas of the road where the trees somewhat canopy the road. So be aware of the tree limbs as related to the height of your vehicle and also stretching out from the sides of the road, as you'll see in some of these videos. Even though the trees were groomed, I went ahead and drove down the middle of the road when safe and there was no oncoming traffic. Liz and I actually enjoyed the scenery during the drive and took our time cruising through, which alleviated any other stress that we would have had otherwise driving down the road. Google Maps states that it would take you about 45 minutes to travel this 25-mile road. As you arrive at the park and turn into Highway 1 and you pass the cottages on the left, you see this glorious view of the ocean in Westport Beach. And if you weren't excited before, you definitely are excited at that point. As you continue down the private road, you'll cross the bridge and then pass the unoccupied guard shack. Pull up to the right of the store and go inside to check in. Make sure to wear your face coverings if appropriate when you arrive. Hopefully you're watching this sometime down the road and COVID is just a bad memory for all of us. So at this point, I'm just going to turn my mic off and I'll let you take in some of the sights since this destination is all about location. I'll come back to you at different points during the video, and in about 2.5 minutes, I'll tell you why our stay wasn't exactly perfect and also my final thoughts. There was an issue that most certainly you need to be aware of if you're driving a large motorhome, so please don't miss it. Pets are allowed on the beach and in the campground, but they must be leashed at all times. Here you can see our Rosie lounging with us and enjoying the sunshine and that awesome ocean breeze. During low tide, you can hike the shoreline for almost 1¼ miles, where you'll end up at Abalone Point, which you can actually see straight ahead in this video. But be careful, because if you start as the tide is coming in, you could well find yourself stranded along the shoreline. You can also hike to this bench overlooking the park and the beach, which is a great vantage point for the sunset, by the way, but you also have to walk out via the vehicle entrance along Highway 1. There is no quick way to get there due to the security fencing around the park. So be careful, because on the way back, you're walking along Highway 1 in the dark, and there's some spots where there's not much shoulder to walk on. The sunsets here are absolutely breathtaking, along with the ambiance of the ocean waves breaking on the beach and over the rocks. But unfortunately, this brings us to the part of our trip that wasn't so perfect. Take a look at this picture of our campsite and our motorhome. Do you see the problem? So that white hose is 25 feet long, and there was zero chance of my 25-foot septic hose reaching that dump cap that's situated at the front of our rig. The office would not let us back in for whatever reason, and with our slides out, I'm not sure it would have reached anyway. When I brought up the issue to the office, the manager actually told me she was aware of it, and they really need to revise it due to the complaints that they've received in the past. Another employee told me that they've worked there for years and have always had the same problem. In my opinion, that's pretty unacceptable. So management or ownership, if you're listening or watching this video, please do something about that, because it really does take away from the rest of the trip for your guests. Okay, final thoughts. So the facilities were closed due to COVID, so I can't really comment on those, but I can tell you that the store was actually well stocked, and we found some things that we needed while we were there. So that was a great feature as well. The space for our RV was adequate and clean. I've had some better, but I've had much worse, so I can't really complain, except for that issue with the dump station being almost 40 feet away from our motorhome. And by the way, that wasn't the case in the premium spaces that I could tell, which are closer to the ocean. It was just a standard space that I was in. And if you want to avoid our specific space, tell them that you don't want to stay in space 166, because that was the space that we were in and had that issue. In spite of that issue, we really enjoyed our stay at Westport Beach. There is a security fence along the entire exterior perimeter along the road, between the road and the campground, so it keeps anybody out. And that's a private beach that is exclusive to the campers. I would definitely recommend Westport Beach RV Park and Campground, with the caveat that you are aware of and prepared for the issues that we discussed in the video. So make your reservation today and enjoy yourselves, but make sure you do it early, because they're booked out well in advance unless you get lucky. I sincerely hope you enjoyed our review and found it to be informative. And if you did, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It would really help us out, and since we intend to upload content about every other week, you're sure to not miss anything. So thanks again, and happy trails.